Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here and do not know who I am, my name is Kamora and I am a health and wellness coach. As a health and wellness coach, I work with women exclusively to empower them to live their happiest, most fulfilled, and most authentic lives. And I do that through empowerment by uplifting them and by inspiring them to really grow into the best versions of themselves by unapologetically stepping into their full potential. So this video, we are going to be discussing mindfulness. And when I say where, I mean me and my dear friend Christy, who is a transformation life coach. So in this video, we will be talking about mindfulness in three key areas of life, I guess you can say. And those key areas will be our behaviors, our decisions, and basically our everyday living. So, how our decisions and our behaviors and life choices that we make as a result of our decisions and our behaviors really paints the way that we navigate through life. And Christy, who is our mindfulness expert, is going to be sharing with us mindfulness tips for each of those different areas about how we can be more mindful and how we exist in that space, and then how we can also just translate that into the rest of our lives. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and without ado, let's get into it. Bye. I don't know how to start this, but all right. Hi, guys. So those of you who don't know, my name is Kamora. I am a health and wellness coach, and I work with women. And today I have a special guest with me who is going to be joining us for the topic on mindfulness, and that is Christy. And I'm going to go ahead and let her tell you guys who she is, what she does, and all that jazz. So go ahead, Christy.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here to collab with you. So I'm Christie Ann. I am a spiritual and mindset coach, and I empower inspired individuals to confidently transform their lives through cognitive, behavioral skills, and law of attraction, because I like a little woo-woo.
So thanks for joining us today for our discussion. Today we are going to be talking about mindfulness and really understanding more about how being mindful can really impact your thoughts and the way they filter into your everyday life, your behaviors, and your decisions in a more positively impactful way. And Christy here is going to be the one who is going to be giving us mindfulness tips to help us in certain areas that we are going to be discussing today. And she's also going to be sharing with you guys a general way that you can begin to just practice mindfulness, period, like right now in this instant, or as soon as the video ends, preferably. And I mean, I guess with that, let's just dive into it. You ready?
Yes, yes, yes.
All righty. All right. So the first area we're going to talk about is mindfulness when it comes to our behaviors, specifically emotion regulation. Now, I know for me, and I would assume for a lot of people, just for the simple fact that we're all humans, that it's hard for us to really acknowledge, confront, accept, and deal with our emotions when they're negative. And I don't mean negative in the sense of like they're just bad emotions, but negative in the sense that we would just rather not feel them. So like sadness, depression, anger, things like that. And one of the things that I feel like is a huge blocker for us in being able to regulate our emotions is the fact that we tend to avoid them. We're oftentimes in denial about them. And we also just have a really hard time identifying the appropriate emotion that we're feeling. And in my head, when I think about that, I think of it in the sense of that I don't like to use this term, but I can't really think of a better one, but in the sense that we're just dysfunctional. And we're dysfunctional because we're feeling all these things and we don't know what to do with them, why we're feeling this way, and how to really manage them. So I guess with that, Christy, what are your thoughts about emotion regulation when it comes to like avoidance of our emotions or being in denial about what they are and how we really feel, and then even really being able to identify like anger from sadness?
Right.
or other emotions that, you know, we oftentimes get confused with each other?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I think the most important thing is when I also work with clients, everything is in layers, right? So when you people, not you, come on, people, maybe you, I don't know, but us, we all um, tend to sometimes avoid, like you said, negative emotions. That's even a hard word to say because it to me it's more of a it's an emotion that doesn't bring pleasure, right? So
Right.
so people often avoid it. Um, but why? You can't embrace it if you don't even know why you're having these emotions, you know? And so,
Yeah.
right? Because if you are avoiding something for the sake of not feeling that pain, you're missing the whole concept of what emotions really do. Okay. Even the shitty ones, you know? So, when you're feeling sadness, that's information. Okay. Everything that goes through and filters through your mind body is emotion. Okay. Is
Right.
emotion and it's information. And that is what motivates you. That is what creates inspired action. So instead of shying away from emotions, right, we're also going to later, I think, talk about how to even figure out emotions later on. Like, listen, I'm having, for people who don't know how to figure out they're having some kind of response, we'll talk about that a little later. But once you know that you're having a response that you don't particularly like, figure out why you're having those feelings. That's going to give you information. If you're feeling sad for something, if you're grieving something, that's your brain, your heart telling, like, listen, this is something that's wrong. And you kind of delve into it. So it's a whole exploration process. And you really have to think about, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling this way? What happened? Is there something that warrants this feeling? I think when you start thinking of it and kind of embracing the idea that it serves a purpose, you won't distract yourself from it so much. The distraction is actually not bad. Distraction is really good. We could also, I don't know if you want to talk more about distraction, because distraction is also very essential to be more mindful.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
I would have never have thought that. Not because, like, I do agree that distraction can be good, but I've always viewed it as like it's just an excuse to avoid what's really happening.
And that's a limiting what
A limiting
belief.
belief. Oh my God, that's so crazy. I never really thought to think of distraction in that way. Like, wow,
Because
that's crazy.
there's two truths, not two truths, there's multiple truths and everything that we perceive. Okay. So why is distraction bad? I mean, I'm not going to coach you right now, but I can tell you for sure that's not your thought. That's your thought that's cultivated by your society and your environment and your upbringing,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
Okay, so really, when you figure out what you want, what you need. So let's say, um, I'm not trying to get dark over here, okay? But let's say, I don't want to get dark, but when my grandparents, they passed away. I was very stoic. I was very stoic. I was very, I had a lot going on at the time. I was pregnant too, because I was a teen mom, and I had a lot going on, and so I distracted myself. But sometimes you need to distract yourself, right? When you're emotionally aware of your needs and what you know is going to push you over the edge, okay, you need to find tools. And distraction, really what it is a tool for you to get your footing. Okay, for you to, from going from a 10 to maybe even an 8, because being at an 8 to actually receive the information, to process what's happening, is super vital, right? Because if
Right.
you if you're feeling all your emotions, usually what happens is you act on them.
Right.
right? So you
Which is
can't,
the opposite of
which is
emotion
the opposite,
regulation.
exactly, which is the opposite of being mindful. Impulsivity is not being mindful. What's being mindful is taking the time to be at a state where you're most receptive. And sometimes distractions are going to provide that for you.
Well then, Christy, what would you say is a mindfulness tip that we can, practice to better help us like be more accepting of our emotions?
Right. So I'm going to teach you 3 tips. How
Three
to do it.
tips. Ready,
3
people? Three
three
tips.
tips. And everybody could use this. It's so simple. And I hope that, if you think it's all just bullshit, then I feel so sorry for you, because you're missing a big, big component to living a fulfilled life. Because I want to say every single person I've ever worked with never does this. And I never did it until it was taught to me to do it. Now,
Oh
if you
my
do
God,
it
I feel
right,
like I'm about to be in the same boat. Like I've
yeah,
never done this either until you taught
it's
it
so
too.
simple. It's so simple, but I don't think people actually consciously do it. The only way to be mindful, right, is being conscious. So the first step I would say would be notice. Just notice. We're going to talk about other ways how you can notice with that mind body connection. When I say notice, you're going to do that noticing, okay? Just no judgment. That means straight facts, okay?
Right.
That means that if little Timmy is stuck in the well and you're like, you're feeling like nervous, okay? Just all you're doing is like, okay, I'm sweating, my heart is racing. My heart is racing. This is what you're noticing. Then we're going to go to tip number 2, because no one stops. Everyone reacts. We're not reacting. I mean, maybe if Timmy's stuck in a well, somebody should call 911. But other than that, like, that was probably a poor analogy. But, you want to just notice facts, facts, facts. No judgment. No, I feel so sad. I'm such a shitty person. I can't believe this happened. We don't need all of that.
And negative
That's not,
self-talk.
we're not there yet. Just notice your hands are sweaty. Notice your heart is racing. Just notice. So, because there's a lot of times through our emotions, we're in fight or flight mode. Your body does not, and your brain does not know what the fuck to do. It doesn't, excuse my language, but it doesn't. They're freaking out.
Right.
You need to be in control. And the only way to be in control is to notice. That's why I really try to say it non-judgmentally, only facts. Then what we're going to do is describe. Okay. That's the second tip. You're going to describe. So I'm sweaty. Oh, I am nervous. This is where you're saying, I think, or even if you're concerned, like, I think I'm nervous. I think this is what's happening. Not, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. That's a whole nother, take that word out of your dictionary. The shouldn't, that's an awful word to be in your vocabulary. Take it out. And you're going to describe how you're feeling. You're going to describe the situation, okay, as is. So we don't need no commentary from you, okay? For the women out there who, your man didn't call you, okay? There's something going on with your heart is racing. He's about to get it soon, but we don't need that, right? Just know it's like, okay, I'm having some issues with my heart. My heart is beating fast. Then you're going to describe, I'm feeling kind of nervous. Okay, I'm feeling kind of nervous. All right, now we're figuring out, okay, you're feeling kind of nervous. Not, I'm nervous because he hasn't, he's doing something with somebody, or, that's an example, but that's as easy as, to talk about, because that's when you're putting your own narrative. So this whole process is not to put your own narrative in it. You're only noticing what your body responses are, okay, or any other responses, or just the facts. He didn't call, right? You notice, I didn't get a call. Describe, he didn't call me. That's it. That's all you need to know. whatever you do now, you're going to do it. It's one mindfully. You're going to participate in everything you do from then on, right? Very focused. Okay. So if it was something like you're nervous about a test that you have to do tomorrow, right? And you don't know, you're feeling some kind of anxiety, but you don't even know it's anxiety. But you know your heart is, there's palpitations and you're like, okay, I'm having some kind of bodily response. And then you're like, okay, I think I'm worried about tomorrow. Okay. And then you're going to be very one mindfully. If you have to study, or if you have to cook, or every time that thought comes in, right, where it's like you're going to worry again, or you're thinking about whatever it is, say, I'll think about it later. This is where the distraction comes in. But just so your mind, okay, can calm down. It's at a 10. It's about fight or flight, mode
Yeah.
right now, and needs to come down so then you can be more accepting. So when later on things come along, right, you're like, okay, I was worried. I guess I'm still a little worried, but then more of it comes out and you're less judgmental about it. Okay. You need to those 3 steps to take out the judgment in order to really understand where you're coming from. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why it did not dawn on me. I apologize, everybody. But can you give a general description or definition of like what mindfulness actually is?
Okay. So I'm sure when everybody hears mindfulness, they're like, yeah, be in the present moment, all this stuff. But really, it is about the present moment, and it excludes time, if that makes any sense. Okay. You are not identifying with time as a construct. There is no past and there's no future. Of course, is a present. And so if you find yourself thinking about, oh my God, you know, my childhood, or oh my God, I shouldn't have said that thing on a YouTube video that I'm collabing with. Oh my God, if you're thinking about the past, like at the moment, you're already not in mindfulness. Okay. If you are now thinking about the future, again, that test, oh my God, that test tomorrow, you are now existing in another time. Okay.
Right.
So you're identifying with time. Okay. And when you're in the present, I know it's a little woo woo, but you're actually not, there's no time in the present. You are actually in the present. You are creating a ripple through of time as it passes, but the moment right now is where you are. So having the emotions of anxiety or worry or those negative emotions are living and existing through a time that we as humans create because we expire, right? So
Right.
right. So the most perfect moment in your entire life is right now.
Right now.
Right now is the most perfect time. I'm not going to get into all that other stuff. So what being mindful really is being aware of the present moment, okay, but also of yourself, being hyper aware of what you're feeling, doing one thing at a time. And it's hard to do because we live in a society where it is just all multitasking,
Right.
the wazoo, right? Like it's just so much. And people, to get far in life, in corporate life, and successful as a mom or as a professional, you need to multitask. And this is
Right.
so, and now it's created this society that we live in where we don't even know who we are, what we feel, what we think. So that being mindful is taking that moment, taking that time, taking that space to connect
Right.
with yourself in the moment. So you're not a robot. That doesn't mean you're not going to have feelings pop up. It does not mean you're not going to have thoughts pop up, but also meditation. That's why meditation is helps with being mindful, because you're really grounding yourself in said moment.
Right.
And you get really good at when thoughts pop in your head, you're not beating yourself up. You're not like, what the fuck am I thinking? I can't do this meditation right. No, no, no. You're human, right? You're not you're not a robot. You have to be kind to yourself. There's a reason that thought pops up, but you'll deal with it when the time comes. Now is not this time. Now is the time to be mindful. Now is the time to be grounded, right?
Right.
So distraction is a very, when you say distraction, that could be a distraction too, but you have to, this is where the whys come in. You have to know yourself. Being mindful is also in, you know, when I coach clients too, that's they have big dreams and I want to help them, and I do help them get there, but they can't get there if they don't start from where they are right now. And most of
Right.
them, all of them, don't know where they are right now. So I hope that helps. I know there was a long
Yeah.
explanation, but I hope that helps.
No, that's great. No, I do think no, that's great. You know, I think a lot of the times mindfulness does have, like you said, this really big component to it, that it's just about being present. But what does that look like? What does that mean? Because that could look and mean like so different for you than it could for me, than it could for like the next person. So it's like, yes, it's being present, but what it really is, it's really existing in that moment, whatever moment it is happening right now, like this moment with us, like being mindful of everything that's happening, you know, and noticing, like you said, everything that is happening, and doing so in a very non-judgmental way. That, I think, is really what a lot of people fail to understand about mindfulness when it comes to it. But you did like a great job explaining it, and I hope that helps you guys too, like really connect the dots with it. The next area, I guess, of life that I would like to further explore, like mindfulness is for when it comes to our decisions. How can we go from a state like mentally when we're feeling depressed, stressed, or we're having like high levels of anxiety? How can we go from a state of doing or acting on those emotions to just being whatever it is that we are feeling?
So you actually want, you want to go from a state of doing to being, or being from doing? So I'm clear.
Doing to being.
Doing to being.
Yes.
So when you say being, you mean being mindful of your emotions?
Yes.
Okay.
So like I'm depressed,
right.
and then this is where the mindfulness is going to come in with it.
So I'm going to, this is something like, I'm gonna stop you right there. So it's also in the wording. So I actually disagree with what you're saying, but
really?
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay, because this is how we learn. This is how we grow.
Right.
And you don't have to agree with me. However, being, it's hard to, I don't think you mean it this way, but I think wording is super important, because when people are in their feelings, because most often they actually are in their feelings and they are being. Do you understand? Right. So I know we're doing the avoidance and denial, but also they are being, and we're not identifying with our emotions. Once we identify with our emotions, we are no longer mindful. Okay.
Oh,
right.
okay. Okay.
I'm depressed. You're telling yourself a false narrative. That's not, you are not depressed, you know. And it might sound silly to some, but wording and how you choose to word things directly affects your belief system. And when it directly affects your belief system, you're going to act on that belief system. Okay. So I'm depressed. I'm worthless. What's the difference, really? You know what I'm saying? If you give yourself a false narrative, then you could be like, oh, well, the difference is what? When you feel worthless, you feel probably depressed. And when we talk about depressed, I want everybody to understand it's not clinical depression.
Right.
Okay.
Just it is general.
It is depressive episodic kind of result that's derived from a sad episode or a situation that's happened. It's a episodic depression. It's not clinical depression, because that's totally different, and we're not licensed therapists or psychiatrists. I just want to say that. So that's totally different. But when you've gone through a depressive state of being, telling yourself that I'm this, I'm that is actually not helpful. So you actually want to say, I feel sad, because now you are in the moment. It's not forever. And I think people need to remember that it's not
Yeah.
forever, and feelings aren't fact. When you say a statement like that and you are affirming a statement, I am depressed, I am sad, you are telling yourself you are the energy of those things. Right?
Right.
So we don't want to identify ourselves with our emotions, because who we are not our emotions. Emotions are just serving to tell us information. And we have the choice ourselves, we have the choice to do whatever we want with that information, whether we heal or we don't heal, and it causes issues. so
Right.
so for my thing, I would say it's more of being to doing, or doing to, being to doing, not
Right.
doing to being. But I understand what you're saying, because you're saying being as far as being mindful of your emotion, and I think
Yeah.
that you're correct with. But it's hard to say that, because when people hear being, they might people
Think like you said, I am depressed.
I am being I am, and we really want to steer away from that, because you know that really convolutes a sense of self, and
Right.
different things. Feelings are not facts, feelings are not you, feelings are just information. So once you figure out that feelings are information, you can actually shift from being in your feelings to doing, because now you understand that there is control there. When you
Right.
understand that there's control, and being mindful and not being when you're not being, right, because being, you're like, I am this, I sometimes can't be any other way, right? So when you
Right.
shift that, right, when you shift being to doing, you're able to, sometimes you should do stuff, most of the times you should go from that yin to that yang energy, right? You should.
Right.
So you're not going to do it though if you're, like you said, you're not mindful of it. So be mindful of it. Again, what those tactics to notice, describe what you're feeling, participate in that. If you're feeling, why am I feeling that way? This is why I feel that way. Be compassionate with yourself. Be like, that makes sense why I feel this way. There's times that there's not going to make sense. Your feelings are not supporting the facts. Okay.
Right.
Sometimes there's a lot of that, but you don't know that. Sometimes a lot of people, not some, a lot of people, we all do, we freak out about something that hasn't happened yet and probably will never happen.
Which is
That's
anxiety.
anxiety, right? Or yes. And so when you have those thoughts, you have to, again, now be mindful. You're not anxiety, you're not being anxiety, but be mindful of your anxiety by all the tips that we've listed below, or we listed already. And then when you do that, then you're like, okay, now you could see how it doesn't support the facts, right? And now you can
Right.
move to doing. And by doing, you're like, okay, I now choose, because everything in life is a choice. And when you step into that being, I am this, kind of strips our choice away. We feel more hopeless,
Right.
right? But if you're like, okay, this is how I feel, and the facts don't support it, now let me do something about it.
Right.
Right? You have other tools. You should have other tools to how to shift. And if you don't have other tools, we'll probably do another collab. So,
So okay, yeah, that actually makes sense when you explain it now, because yeah, in my head I'm thinking of like doing where you're acting on your emotions to go into like just being
oh, so
accepting of them.
reaction. Yes. So
Yeah, but it's more
reactionary. Yeah.
so being mindful of what you are actually feeling. And then, like you said, bringing in the facts about why it is the way you are, like, why are you feeling whatever it is that you're feeling? And then going to a doing state of mind where it's like, and now this is what I'm going to do about it. Now that I'm mindful of what it is that's going on with me,
Mhm.
this is what I'm going to do
Right.
about it.
And then that prevents you from being reactionary.
Right.
right?
which
Because that's
was
what you're
like
talking about.
the next actually segue, I guess you can say, like I was about to like go into was, so this is like actually a great way to essentially increase your emotional intelligence, right?
Absolutely. Everything comes, it's hard because I know we have all these points that we have to talk about, and it sounds like I'm probably reiterating myself, but
Probably. We apologize, but
it's
it's
there.
mindfulness, folks. It's not black and white. Like
It is.
it's colorful.
It is. So that's what you have to realize too, that they're all kind of going into each other. You can't really do one without the other. If you're like, oh, I noticed that I'm a little nervous, and you do nothing about it, and you then what's the point? It's a step by step, and it's more work, um, but it's worth it, because now
Right.
you're living with intention instead of living through reactions.
Right. Which is like again another great little segue to what I was also gonna, ask you about was, so a good way for like these emotions, depression, stress, and anxiety. And I chose these ones just because I feel like they are the most common emotions that a lot of people experience. How would you say, like, I'm trying to think of how to word this. So, like, focusing on those negative emotions, again, negative, because not all emotions are bad. Emotions aren't really actually bad, but we, as a society, we're taught to tag that negative sign onto certain emotions. So, how would you say, like, mindfulness can help you move from focusing on those negative emotions and more so moving towards like problem solving behaviors? So it's like you're being mindful of what it is that you're feeling and your reasoning why behind it, but then how else can we use mindfulness to then remove that narrative from our brain that, like, I am this or I am that and it's because of X, Y, Z, to then start just more so like I'm mindful that this is how I'm feeling. And now this is essentially the problem solving aspect of it, where this is what I'm going to do to not only maintain this mindfulness flow that I've got going, but to also, I guess, like pull me out of that emotion that I do not want to feel because it's not enjoyable. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay.
If I'm straying too far, let me know and bring me back to your original question, because I think I got it. Um, I just also want to point out, we have emotions. So all these tools, these tactics that you'll get from therapy or from your coaches or what have you, are not going to eradicate your feelings. You are going to feel sad. That is not what this is about. This is all about, when you feel sad, what do you do?
Right.
Okay. So
Healthy. What's a healthy thing to do?
yes, what's a healthy
Because,
thing to do?
yeah,
What's going to empower you, and what's going to really, whatever actions you take, what's going to align with your values, right?
right.
So, because if you start acting on stuff because of those emotions that don't align with your values, you end up feeling like shit. So, okay, so
Which doesn't help the situation at all either.
it
Like,
doesn't, it doesn't help. So, what I would say is that, if I'm like trying to answer your question appropriately, but I would say, to help you be in that mindfulness state more often, I can tell you that eliminating your vulnerabilities is a big help. If not, it's life changing. Okay. So anything that makes you vulnerable, like me, when I get hungry, I'm like that Snicker bar commercial. Okay. I really am. I get hungry.
you're
I
not
will,
you.
no, but I get really aggressive. I get really aggressive, or I get really sad and I start crying. I know it sounds crazy, but but I do. If I don't eat, I think everything is awful in the world. I'm like, why did this person do this? No one does anything to anybody, by the way. Like, that's a whole other subject. But I'm like, like, I'm like, why did this happen? Oh my gosh, and then let me tell you, I eat something and my whole perspective changes. There are certain vulnerabilities that happen or that you have that needs to be focused on, as far as you have to figure that out. And that's also mindfulness. That's also awareness. Okay. You need to figure out, when am I the most vulnerable? Okay. If you're tired, right? If you're tired and you're having all these feelings, and you know that when you're tired, everything's shit when you're tired.
Right.
Really think about that and be like, I'm feeling really sad. I'm feeling like this person doesn't care about me. I feel like I'm never going to amount to anything. And then you stop and say, okay, I hear that. I feel that. Facts. I also know I'm really tired. I know I'm really tired. I know I haven't eaten anything. I know that I don't like to be around this person, and this person is kind of, their energy is kind of affecting me. It's not about not trusting yourself. It's being aware of yourself, so you know how your inner workings work, and so that you can utilize all the tools that you have, and you can be at optimum level, right?
Right.
Sometimes I can't change. If I'm hungry, I'm cranky, right? But then what do
Right.
I do? You know how many times I'm there, and when I was going through this journey as a coach, I was like, oh my gosh, I was having imposter syndrome, but only at night. Not saying that it's not healthy, at night was a big thing for me. And I had to stop and say, I'm really fucking tired. So
Right.
I really kind of can't I could trust me to figure that out, but I can't trust that emotion. That emotion
Right.
is giving me information that I need to work through my limiting beliefs. Okay. And also, and not but, and I'm tired. So
Right.
I'll revisit this tomorrow. Again, distraction, right? I'll revisit this tomorrow. And most of the time, if not all the time, tomorrow comes, I'm like, yo, this is great. What happened? Like, so being really mindful of your vulnerabilities.
How can we be more mindful of our body sensations then, as a way to not only identify emotions such as like depression, stress, and anxiety, and whatever else it may be, but to also essentially, like you said, attach the fact to it. And then now that I'm looking and viewing distraction in a different way, like, so attach the fact to it and then use an appropriate distraction method to not have to ruminate in that negative feeling.
So I would say, one, like everything you do, you're going to do effectively, right? So you're going to look, this is where it's all about mindfulness all the time. So it's really hard when you say, how can I be mindful about being mindful, right? Or it's really practice. And so you want to first actually do it when you're not experiencing or having high emotion, okay? Because a lot of people tend to pull all these great tools in the midst of their
Oh my
feelings,
God, that's
breakout,
me.
right? Yeah, that doesn't work. I mean, it could work, but you're going to take a very long time to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Okay? So, in response to also kind of that, how do you know when to feel the mind body experience? Okay, your body remembers what your brain forgets. Okay, so your body will always tell you what's happening. The only way to figure out what your body's telling you is to really not do, but to figure out what you're feeling, what your body's doing when you're not freaking out.
Right.
Right? You're not freaking out. Like, you have to be friends with yourself, right? So when you're freaking out, you know what to do. So if you're freaking out, you're going from a 1 to a 10, and then you expect yourself to bring yourself lower. That's almost impossible. It can be done, but it's a lot more work. So
Yeah, it is.
yeah, so we're creatures of habits. Okay, so that means when you're going to make a sandwich, when you're going to the store, right? Every little thing. I used to have anxiety with talking to people outside. Okay, um, like little things. If you're going to go wait online, you're not going to have a breakdown, right? But you're feeling uncomfortable. That's when you use your tips. Okay, these are when you use your tools. You go, just, you know, you notice, what am I noticing? Describe, right? You're noticing, describing, and then you're like, okay, I'm in this moment right now. I'm waiting online to go, whatever.
Right.
Now your body, the enough times you do it, we're creature of habits, the enough times you do it, your body's going to remember to relax. So when you are stressed, you're not in fight or flight mode. Okay, you're not going to be reactionary. You're going to automatically be like, okay, how am I feeling? What am I feeling? And I tell you this because I'm also a testament to this whole thing working. Okay, because
Right.
I wasn't like this, and I did a lot of mental health work. I did a lot of, you know, like cognitive behavioral skill work. I did a lot of universal law work as well, which I love. And so, you know, this is, it's a skill for a reason. It's a skill because it needs to be practiced. You don't do it once and it gets better. So that would be my tip.
If you practice it enough, it essentially just kind of becomes an automatic thing that your body responds to when, you know, you train it to respond in certain situations. I guess just the last area section, I don't know what I'm calling this yet, that we're gonna focus on is really how mindfulness impacts our life choices or our everyday living, how I kind of personally like to identify. So how would you say like we could use mindfulness to control that wandering mind, but do it in a sense where you're not becoming overwhelmed with whatever is happening, whatever you're experiencing in that moment, but where you're controlling the situation by like not allowing yourself to become distracted in the sense of like I'm literally just like intentionally going to avoid this because I don't want to deal with it.
So that is a personal choice. So people who are watching this, you have to know and commit to wanting a better mindset. When you commit to having a better mindset, you and something happens where, let's say you normally distract yourself, um, it becomes a habit, kind of like smoking. I'm not, you know, it's you smoke. Anyone who has an addiction, if you ever had an addiction and you went to get help, how they do it is that they replace the addiction with something else. Okay, because it's a slow process, right? It's so when you're having a habit where you're constantly distracting yourself, it's very unfair to you as a person to say, I'm just not going to distract myself anymore, because when you do, you're going to be so hard on yourself. If it's something that you need, that you find that you need to regroup, I would give yourself and hold yourself accountable for 3 days, 2 days, couple hours. It's very situational, so it depends. Hold yourself accountable and say, listen, in this couple of days, 2 days, 3 days, I'm going to revisit this. And you make sure you do. Okay? Because it nothing, you have to commit. People who are going to do these steps are ready to change their lives, are sick of being trapped in their own head. Okay? So I hope, you know, and we're an adult, so I hope that they do say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to commit to this.
To put a bow on this whole topic, this whole discussion. So we know that mindfulness is really about being present in the moment that is happening right now, not the moment that happened 5 minutes ago, not the moment that's going to happen 2 minutes later, but the moment that is happening right now. And one way I've always kind of viewed mindfulness is living on a moment to moment basis. So, you know, in that sense that it's like, whatever is happening now, I'm going to be completely present and aware. And when that next moment comes, I'm going to be completely present and aware, even if I didn't get to like accomplish whatever it was I was trying to accomplish in the moment that had already passed. So I guess like my general question about like everyday living and how, you know, your life choices kind of paint the way like you live your life and whatnot. How do you exist in this? I don't know if this is going to be too broad of a term, but how do you exist in the present moment?
So, you know, when I mentioned the Again, the notice and describe and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's say you were washing dishes, right? You're washing dishes, and then you're thinking about all the other shit you have to do, right? You're not being mindful. So you're gonna be like, okay, I hear you. Like, be kind to yourself. Like, I hear you, Kamora. I understand. But right now, we're washing dishes. I'll think about that later, right? Now, what you're gonna do when you're washing dishes is notice the dish you're washing. It sounds so crazy saying it because every time I say this, everyone's like, that is so silly. And I'm like, try it, try it. I mean, this is the fix, right? You have to train your brain with really mundane shit. Like, that's really it, you know? So look at the water, notice the water, describe the feelings that you have, the soap, describe the smell, use your senses. Describe, oh, I like this dishwashing soap. Oh, I don't like this dishwashing soap. Oh, this feels slippery. Get your brain to slow down. You cannot get your brain to slow down with wishing and hoping and wanting and pleading and then don't do any activities. This is an activity where really slows it down. And when you can't do that, it's okay. If you badger yourself, you're judging yourself, your brain is now going to associate that task, that mindfulness task, as a pain point, right? As a pain. It's causing pain because you are now being destructive to yourself, saying, I can't do it right. I can't describe this right. It's a progress, and it's all progress. You're probably going to suck one day. You probably get better, suck again, get better, get even better, and probably have a bad day. But you're making progress. You are, and you won't know you are until you realize you are.
So before we leave, I just want, you to just share with me and, our audience, what would be your number one tip for, you know, anybody to just start practicing mindfulness like right now? Like, if as soon as they turned off this video, and I hope you guys do watch till the very end, as soon as they turned this video off, and they were like, I'm gonna go like start practicing mindfulness and getting my body used to this new way of like thinking and navigating through the world, what would be your number one tip for how we could begin that?
It's gonna be super simple. You're gonna find, again, it's the daily tasks. Find a daily task. Find something part of your self-care routine if you have one. I hope you have one. It could be anything from putting lotion, like really good smelling lotion on your body, and smelling that and feeling it and describing it. Okay, you need to start noticing, describing. That is the foundation of what mindfulness is. You cannot go anywhere in your mindset straight up at all. You can't get that $1 billion mindset if you can't even describe and observe what you're feeling and doing.
Thank you so much, Christy. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I have faith that there's going to be more in the future with you centered around this.
Yes.
I hope you guys found these tips like helpful. I hope you take them, you practice them, you start implementing them into your life. And, for those of you who are interested in learning more about mindfulness, really getting into that habit of it for yourself to transform your life in whatever way, that just seems most fit for you, most authentic, most appropriate, and you want to do so through the approach of mindfulness. Christy, why don't you share with them like, a little bit more about what you do as a transformation life coach with mindfulness, how they can get in contact with you, and any services you've got, specials, programs, whatever it may be. Let the people know what's up.
So, so like she said, I am a transformation life coach. I say spiritual mindset coach, but really it's a transformation process. So what we do is we do take it from the mindset. We do take it from the notice. I hold your hand all the step of the way. We figure out your roadmap. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? And I guide you to become your best self. And I do that again through mindset. We're going to rewire your thinking. Through NLP and through a bunch of cognitive skills, and we're gonna figure out what your values are. What we're gonna try to align you with the best version of you, and the only way to do that is through mindset. Okay, this is why mindset is so crucial, because there's a lot of people that can get you from A to B but it's not sustainable because you're the same person up here. Okay. So that's what I do. If you want to check out my Instagram, my website is christieandcoaching.com. It's being revamped, so you can get at me at my Instagram and book a session with me. It's a 30-minute free clarity call. We can figure out if we're a good fit together, and yeah, we could take it from there. And I'm so excited, hopefully, to meet some of you, all of you. And I know I can help you. I know this sounds so daunting, but it's so much better when you have help and teamwork. So.
Right. And I'll put everything in the comments below, you guys, too, so that you can easily access her. That does it for this conversation. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation around mindfulness with Christy and I. I really do love her. She is so amazing. She's so talented, and she is so knowledgeable about the topic of mindfulness. It really is a deep passion of hers, and it's a deep passion of mine too. So I really enjoyed being able to have her come on here and talk about it, teach me more about it, and to share a little bit with you guys. I hope you're able to walk away from this video with, mindfulness tips that you guys can start implementing into your routine today as soon as this video ends, so that you guys can start living a more mindful life, and just being more mindful of how you navigate through the world and even in your own world, and how you exist around others and all that jazz. I also want to let you guys know about the new program that I just launched at the beginning of the year. It's the Mind, Body, and Spirit Transformation Program. And this is a year-long one-on-one coaching program with me and you, where we are going to be working through the mind, working through our bodies, and working through our spirit to transform it with various techniques that I have, so that you can, not we, but you can start living your happiest, most fulfilled, and most authentic life. And as always, you want to learn more about it, you want to, reach out to me for other services. Everything will be in the description. You guys can check it out, reach out. Also, I do have free clarity calls as well. If you want to learn more about a certain service that I have, a certain program that I'm currently offering, or even the Mind, Body, and Spirit Transformation Program, just reach out to me, schedule your free call, and I can get you more information and we can see if we're a good fit. All right, guys, with that being said, I'm going to end this video now. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow Christy on Instagram. She's amazing. And I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.